The Legend of Takaiya Green. A long, long time ago, before the world had borders, before mankind learned to scar the earth, there was an island that floated between sky and cloud, hidden from time itself. At its heart stood Mother Gaia, a colossal living tree whose roots glowed emerald and whose leaves shimmered with life. From her flowed forests of radiant green, rivers of light, and creatures born of harmony. Among them were the special wolves, guardians shaped from spirit and soil, protectors of balance. Sensing a perilous future, from her roots, Mother Gaia shaped her greatest creation. A being from her visions, a human. She named him Takaiya Green. He was born not crying, but breathing, drawing in the wind as if he already understood the world. His hair carried the hue of new leaves, his eyes glowed with Gaia's light. He was strong, yet smaller than the giants of legend, crafted not to dominate, but to protect the planet. This creation was never without consequence. Hidden deep within Gaia's heartwood, something else took root, a dark seed. Mother Gaia did not create it with intent. It formed from fear, fear of loss, fear of endings, fear that even she could not stop the cycle of decay. The seed hid in plain sight, quiet and patient, slowly infecting her leaves with shadowed stains. As centuries passed, Gaia weakened. When she finally spoke to her son, her voice trembled through the island. "Takaiya, you must leave." Confused, he knelt at her roots. Before she could explain, before she could warn him of the future, of the seed, of the darkness she had birthed. The island screamed, light shattered, roots tore free from the sky. The forest imploded into wind and flame. The floating island exploded, scattering life and death across the world. Takaiya was hurled through the heavens, unconscious, and beside him, spinning silently through the void, the dark seed followed. Takaiya crashed into the earth in what would one day be called northern Canada. The impact carved a crater in ice and snow. Snow buried him. Cold claimed him. Time froze. The dark seed landed not far away, entombed in ice as well. And for centuries, both slept. But the world changed. It was the early 1600s. The ice began to melt. The dark seed thawed first. Cracks spread across its surface. It pulsed. It opened. From it emerged the first evil shadow monster, a being of living darkness, eyes jagged, a mouth split wide with hunger. It crept into the nearby native village. Takaiya sensed its destruction. By the time Takaiya stirred, it was already too late. Takaiya awoke, bursting out of the ice, screaming. He felt it, the shadow, like rot in his blood. Instinct drove him forward through snow and wind until he reached the village. Houses burned, screams echoed. He fought the monster with raw power, green energy bursting from him uncontrolled. He was strong, but untrained, emotional, young. The shadow monster adapted. It struck him down. Takaiya fell unconscious as darkness consumed the village. And Takaiya, son of Gaia, lay broken beneath the snow once more, buried by grief and time. Present day. Takaiya awoke again, centuries later. The world was loud now. Metal birds filled the sky. Cities stretched like wounds across the land. The air tasted wrong. He walked thousands of miles. He watched forests fall, rivers choke, skies darken. In a great city he felt it again. Darkness, thick and hidden, not in monsters, but in people, leaders, men and women with power, their shadows wrong, moving when they should not. The dark seed had spread, it had learned. Angry, he filled with green energy flowing all around him. He lifted into the sky. He gathered an energy ball. He destroyed the city with one big energy explosion. A city burned. Then he heard a sound that shattered him more than any blow. Crying. A little girl alone in the ruins calling for her mother. Takaiya fell to his knees. For the first time since Gaia's death, he wept. He did not leave her. He wrapped her in his arms and swore an oath not to the earth, but to a child. "I will protect you. I will never hurt people again." He learned then the truth Mother Gaia never got to tell him. Humanity was not evil. They were infected. Shadow monsters no longer only crawled in forests, they wore suits, crowns, and smiles. Takaiya changed. He became careful, surgical. He hunted only the infected ones and leaders, removing the darkness without destroying the innocent. And while he fought monsters in the night, he learned how to be human in that day. The shadow monsters noticed him. Takaiya did not realize he was being watched at first. He could no longer sense their presence. At first it was subtle. Satellites paused too long over empty forests. Drones circled storms that should not exist. News stories spoke of an unidentified green anomaly seen where powerful people vanished. Governments called him a weapon. Religions called him judgment. The infected called him a threat. The shadow monsters had learned something crucial. Takaiya was no longer alone. The little girl, whom he called Isla, became his anchor. She slept while he stood watch. She asked questions he couldn't answer. Why do they hurt the world? Why do they lie? Why do the shadows hate you? Takaiya had no answers, only scars. The first infected leader he truly studied ruled quietly. No wars, no speeches filled with hate, just policies that poisoned rivers slowly, forests quietly sold away, people forgotten in numbers and budgets. Takaiya watched from rooftops and tree lines. He could see the shadow now, thin tendrils woven through the leader's spine, whispering, guiding choices. The monster did not control them like a puppet. It amplified what was already there. Greed, fear, desire for control. When Takaiya struck, he did not destroy the city. He waited. He confronted the leader alone. Green light clashed with black shadow in a silent room of glass and steel. When it was over, the shadow burned away, leaving behind a man who collapsed, weeping, finally aware of what he had done. Takaiya left him alive. That was when the shadow learned fear. The infected adapted. They stopped gathering, they spread out, they hid behind laws, armies, propaganda. Takaiya became a ghost. He dismantled regimes not with explosions, but with precision, cutting power grids during meetings, disabling communications, isolating targets so the shadows could not escape. Each victory cost him. Every time he burned a shadow out of a human host, he felt the echo of Mother Gaia's death, the same sensation of something ancient screaming as it died. He began to dream of dark roots wrapped around skyscrapers, of the dark seed laughing in the voice of kings. Isla noticed the change before Takaiya did. He spoke less, his glow dimmed. His hands trembled after battles. One night after he returned wounded, she touched the scars on his arms. "You're afraid you'll become like them," she said. Takaiya froze. She was right. He feared that power, unchecked, was the very thing the shadow fed on. That night, he swore a second vow. I will never rule. I will never decide humanity's fate alone. From then on, he did something new. He began to save evidence, expose the infected, let humanity fight its own battles when it could. The shadow monsters no longer waited. They attacked cities openly. They attacked Isla. Takaiya barely saved her the first time, ripping through 3 shadow monsters in a storm of green light and rain. When it was over, the ground was blackened and the air reeked of decay. That night, the dark seed finally spoke to him, not with words, but memories. It showed him Mother Gaia's fear, showed him why it was born. You cannot stop decay, the shadow whispered. You can only choose who decides when things end. Takaiya screamed until the earth cracked beneath his feet. Not every infected leader could be saved. Some were too far gone. Some chose the shadow willingly. One offered Takaiya a bargain. Rule with us, end wars, control humanity, be their god. Takaiya answered by tearing the shadow out, and when the body fell lifeless, he realized the truth. Mercy also unalives. He broke his promise. From that day on, Takaiya carried the weight of every choice, saved or slain. Stories spread. A green guardian, a monster, a myth. Some people worshipped him, others hunted him. Takaiya refused them all. He raised Isla in secret places, teaching her languages, history, kindness, teaching her that the world was broken but not lost. Shadow monsters still stalked them, Political thrones still rotted. But the dark seed no longer laughed. It wanted Takaiya gone. Because Takaiya Green had learned something Mother Gaia never did. Balance is not purity, it is restraint. Takaiya knows the war is not over. The dark seed still grows, learning, evolving, waiting to emerge fully, and when it does, it will not hide in leaves or leaders. It will stand before him. Mother Gaia's last mistake, against her final legacy. Until that day, Takaiya walks the world quietly. A protector, a warrior, a father, a reminder that even in a world infected by shadow, something green still survives.